Red Dead Redemption is easily one of the most legendary and best Western games ever made, next to Red Dead Redemption 2. It influenced hundreds of other games and pushed the gaming industry forward when it came to realism, atmosphere, and immersion. When it came out, nothing similar existed and the impact was massive. It's a special game because it managed to bring the spaghetti western genre into the gaming world in such a detailed way. Other westerns existed, but they weren't as popular or successful, nor did they have any noteworthy influence on the genre. Red Dead Redemption not only gives us the opportunity to explore the Wild West any way we like, it also has a mature and masterfully written story, something that was unusual for Rockstar Games at the time, as their games tended to be over the top and filled with a lot of parody and humor, which is still somewhat present in Red Dead Redemption, but toned down a lot.
Gotten away from me. Hello? I don't understand it no more, boy. Honest to goodness. I'm not sure I do.
The world here is a lot more serious, and that is also reflected in the gameplay and the world's reaction to your actions, such as when you get a bounty, the law won't be coming after you all the time until you lose it. If you shoot every lawman in the area, they will leave you be for a while. You'll still be wanted and they will be able to randomly find you from time to time, but the system is much more realistic than in GTA or even Red Dead 2. It's genuinely a mystery to me how the sequel managed to have a worse wanted system when all they had to do was simply take the original and improve upon it. As it stands right now, if you get into a shootout in Red Dead 2, the lawmen will keep coming endlessly until you leave the area. It makes playing an outlaw a lot harder in a game about outlaws, and it also hurts your immersion. The atmosphere of Red Dead Redemption is the best part of this game and what makes it so amazing and immersive. It was inspired by the spaghetti western genre and movies such as the Dollars trilogy, Once Upon a Time in the West, the original Django, and many more. This influence of spaghetti westerns is everywhere here, from the way the towns and villages look to the sunny but depressive desert. The world here is not as heroic or idyllic as American western movies tended to be back in the day. This is also reflected in the story and the characters. Most of them are either self-serving, evil, or indifferent. Even the protagonist, John Marston, is not a hero or a good guy in the traditional sense. He's an anti-hero capable of performing good deeds but also capable of horrible things. Marston is self-serving and driven by personal motivations. Every action he performs, anytime he helps other characters or fights against someone, is done purely out of the desire to achieve his goals.
What are you doing here, Mr. Marston? Apart from frightening my deputies.
I'm here to capture or kill Bill Williamson.
Okay.
This is one of the characteristics of most spaghetti western characters, and in this case, he reminds me the most of the man with no name from the Dollars trilogy, in particular from the first movie. The main character in A Fistful of Dollars is neither a good or bad man. He shows that he has a moral code and will save people from harm, but at the same time he has no issues in breaking the law or brutally killing people. His end goal is to make as much money as possible, which is why he also joins the most vicious gang of outlaws in town, only to backstab them too. We don't have a lot of backstory on him, and none of the trilogy movies feel the need to flesh him out as a character, because that's the beauty of him. We don't know who he really is or what he wants, so we keep wondering while trying to figure out if we like him or not, or whether we view him as a hero or villain. John Marston is very similar to the man with no name. The game doesn't tell us a lot about his backstory, except that he used to be an outlaw and now has to hunt his former gang members down. That's all we get for the majority of the game, and it works perfectly because that's all we need. Of course, now we know the backstory a lot better due to Red Dead Redemption 2, which on one hand fleshes out the world and character a lot more, but on the other hand also takes away a little bit of the mystery. The atmosphere in Red Dead Redemption is dark, dry, and moody. Riding through the desert as the sun is going down and the background plays a whistling tune is incredibly atmospheric and immersive. The entire entire game is very cinematic, so no matter where you are, it always feels like you're experiencing your own Western movie. Personally, I actually prefer the atmosphere and spaghetti Western feel of the first game. The second one is amazing and a masterpiece in its own right, but it kind of always felt a bit colder. I suppose it's the difference between the more Appalachian-inspired landscape in Red Dead 2 and the Western Texas and Mexico desert-like of Red Dead 1. But this game feels warmer and moodier. The desert looks beautiful, dangerous, and bleak all at the same time while hiding many secrets. It also feels depressing and sad, which harmonizes perfectly with the story. The Wild West is dying, and with it people like John Marston and his former gang members. Their time has come and gone, and now they have to adapt to it. Rockstar Games really know how to make the worlds feel alive and authentic. I mean, there's really no moment in Red Dead Redemption where you don't feel like a cowboy or an outlaw out on a revenge mission, taking down everyone and everything that stands in your path. It's fascinating to me how Red Dead Redemption makes it so easy to roleplay despite the game not being an actual role-playing game and offering less opportunities to do so than the second one. But for a decade-old game, the possibilities and mechanics that do exist here are really amazing and perfectly done. In particular, the shootouts and killing people in general feel so realistic and satisfying. Because of that, you want to do it as often as possible, which makes the idea of robbing banks and stores even more tempting. What's great about this game is that it actually lets you be an outlaw if you want to be one, and it will still fit with the story no matter how you behave outside of missions. This is something that the second game struggled with a bit because it became clear that the developers wanted Arthur to ultimately be a good guy rather than a full-blown outlaw or maniac. And being evil or simply an outlaw in Red Dead 2 is not as fun without mods because it offers less opportunities to do so, and it punishes you a lot more than a game about outlaws should. The worst thing about this is how you will always be recognized by the town or the law even if you wear a bandana or some other mask. In Red Dead 1, this doesn't happen. If you cover your face, no one will know your identity and you will be free to cause as much chaos as you want. It's a legendary game that had massive influence on the genre and gaming industry and will definitely be remembered even in 20 years from now.